Americans should fear immigrants more than ISIS.
Yes.
Most immigrants are not terrorists nor criminals.
I have a little tip.
No one is biologically predisposed.
If you don't want to be killed by ISIS, don't go to Syria. If you don't want to be killed by a Mexican, there's nothing I can tell you. Very easy to avoid being killed by ISIS. Don't fly to Syria.
Are you really saying that we're talking about 40 million immigrants who live in this country?
I thought you were just disputing that.
No, 40 million immigrants who live. Immigrants, I'm not talking about undocumented immigrants. Overall immigrants, legally here, and those who are not here.
40 million with illegals.
So, do you think that people are biologically predisposed to commit crimes?
No, I think there are cultures that are obviously deficient. And if they weren't deficient, you wouldn't be sitting in America interviewing me. I'd be sitting in Mexico. You fled that culture because there are a lot of problems with that culture. Hopefully it can be changed, but we can share our culture with other nations without bringing all of their people here. When you bring the people here, you bring those cultures here. That includes honor killings. It includes uncles raping their nieces. It includes dumping litter all over.
I read the whole book.
It includes not paying your taxes. It includes paying bribes to government officials. That isn't our culture. You can see the successful cultures in the world. They have been studied ad infinitum. America is it is the best in the world, and we are about to lose it, and everyone who lives here is going to lose that. And the people who are going to suffer the most are the weak ones. It's the women, it's the children, it's the animals, it's the plants. No country has ever had the sort of respect for women that Anglo-America does, and that is going out the door.
I read the whole book, and I think you're afraid of 2044. In 2044, non-Hispanic whites will become a minority, and you don't want that.
Well, I do think the whole country will be changed when it becomes a
what's wrong with diversity?
White country.
What's wrong?
It's not diversity.
So you don't want people like me? No, you don't want people like me here.
No, it's not diversity. It's Mexican. When 1/3 of all immigrants come from one country, that is not diversity.
Your family came from Ireland, right?
No,
You're Eastern European.
Mostly settlers, yeah, not immigrants.
Right. So do you want in the late 1800s and in the early 1900s there were signs, Nina signs, that said no Irish need apply.
No, that's nonsense. In terms
so you want us to go back to those days?
No, that isn't true. I don't know what that has to do with anything. But the point is, before Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act, there was more diversity in immigration. Diversity should mean we take an equal number from all the countries in the world. I think that would be a stupid policy, but that would at least be diversity. Still talking. That's not what we're doing now. We are taking 30% of all legal immigrants from Mexico, 60% of all illegal immigrants from Mexico. Instead of taking 5% or more from 7 different countries, which was the case before 1965,
European countries that
we're taking them all from Mexico. Well, okay, but
so your problem is with Mexicans, but not with Europeans.
No, and you said what's the matter with diversity? I'm telling you, it's not diversity. I'm just getting our facts straight. And no, I didn't want to live in Mexico.
So
I don't want to live in Ireland. I don't want to live in Scotland. I wanted to live in America. Why don't liberals? Why do you think that the Mexicans who fled here want to recreate Mexico here? No, it helps your power because your media desirability goes up a lot. But you're not speaking for the immigrants who came here from Mexico. They left Mexico. They came
and it's an economic situation. It's simply an economic situation. They come here because there are thousands of American companies who hire them, and because there are millions of Americans, including you, who benefit from their work.
It's more than economic because you have something like 2.4 trillion people in the world living on like $2 a year. They'd all like to come here. Mexico happens to be within walking distance. So you're the one who's discriminating against the poor Bangladeshis who would love to come here, but they can't walk across the border. Why should we discriminate against them?
So let me just say this.
It's not humanitarian. It is not diversity. It is just changing our culture without checking with the American people into Mexico.
Let me just finish with this. So you think there are way too many immigrants in this country?
It's not only that there are way too many, we're getting immigrants who are immediately living on welfare, who are committing crime. No immigrants should be committing crime.
The majority of immigrants are not terrorists or criminals.
It should be zero. Why would you invite? Look, we can't do anything about our own underclass. We can't do anything about native criminals. We can do something about people we're inviting into our country.
So let me just give you this number. So you're concerned about immigrants coming here. The number of foreign-born population the percentage foreign-born population. 1900s, it was 13.6%. In 1910, 14.7%. Right now, 13%. In other words, the percentage of the foreign-born population in this country hasn't changed. So you're crying wolf.
No, you didn't listen to my last answer. It isn't just the fact of immigration. It's the immigrants we're getting. It is also a fact that the immigrants before 1970 were more likely to graduate.
So you're concerned about Latino immigrants.
Immigrants were more likely to graduate from college, were more likely to make more money, were less likely to be on welfare, were more likely to own their own homes. Post-1970, upside down.
That is not true. Second generation Latinos,
Not true.
Tend to get better jobs, better salaries,
parents, not than the native population.
Better salaries. They go to college. You have 4 million Latinos who have bachelor's degrees. This is 1.4 million Latinos who have PhDs or master's degrees.
Better than what? Better than their parents, not better than the native population.
Better than their parents. That's second generation Latinos.
Their parents are
who cares,
we're utter peasants. Doing better than their parents isn't better than the native population.
Second generation Latinos are doing much better. Than
is their
the parents, of course.
No, we're not in an international humanitarian process here. American government should be protecting the American people, not helping out the people of the world. This isn't an international charity mission.
Well, that's a tradition in this country. And this is a country that was formed by immigrants, including your family and my family. We all came from another country.
I didn't come from another country.
Well, your family did.
No, it didn't.
Of course it did.
No, it didn't.
Of course it did.
There was no, it did not. My family came from America because there was no America until they came.
Okay, before your parents,
there's
they
a
came
difference
from someone.
if they taught American history.
That's the one
apparently
thing.
They don't. The first people here back in the 1600s were not immigrants. They were settlers. They came to a society or a continent
that
had no country. They created this country. The Dutch, mostly the British, created America.
So they
were not immigrants. Nor were the first 17 presidents.
Your family came from another country, so did mine.
No, they weren't. My relatives are American.
All right. Let's take a break.
You are a cultural imperialist.
Thank you so much. And we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back taking questions from our audience. On immigration in America, let me just ask you before the audience, which Republican candidate is closer to your philosophy on immigration?
Well, none have it exactly, but they haven't read my book yet.
They know you. They know how you think. What's
interesting now is Scott Walker's the first one of the announced candidates to come out and say he wants to protect American jobs and American livelihoods. And it's as if, until this moment, all the Republican candidates have agreed, okay, none of us will take steroids. Now that he's said it, that screws all of the rest of them. And, I think he'll be the candidate unless my law
will be supporting him
back in. Yeah, and I like Romney, and he obviously none of them have my position, but again, they haven't read the book yet. I think I'll persuade them that we need an immediate immigration moratorium and end the anchor baby nonsense. But Romney had the self-deportation position, which was as better than any other Republican.
He got 27% of the Hispanic vote and lost.
And Ronald Reagan won the smallest percentage of the minority vote and won the largest electoral landslide in history. So Republicans don't listen to Jorge Ramos and How to Win. Listen to Ann Coulter. It's in the second to last chapter.
How about Jeff Bush, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz? Do you like them?
Well, no, obviously not Rubio or Jeb Bush, nor do other Republicans. I understand the Democrats and the media are quite fond of them. And as for Cruz, he's making some good noises now, but he said some terrible things about amnesty in the past, so no.
So those are my questions. Let's listen from the audience.
There is freedom of speech, and then there's also hate speech. And I wholeheartedly believe in our First Amendment right. But many of the things you say on TV, on the radio, in your books, not only do they incite fear, they also incite hate. And so I wanted to ask you if you feel you're abusing your First Amendment rights, and do you think legitimately that what you are saying is right?
Well, 2 points. One is you don't understand the Constitution if you say there's free speech, and then on the other hand, there's hate speech.
No, I know that under the law of the Constitution,
the question,
they're
and then you'll
both the
step
same,
away and we'll take the next one.
Hate speech. And you don't have the right.
And thank you all for coming here today. She's about to finish her speech. No, there is speech. There's not speech and hate speech. And judging by the last question, apparently you people can't tell the difference in what I've actually said and some crazy parody site. Because I don't know what you're thinking is hate speech. I don't engage in hate speech. I engage in speech. And yes, it's part of the long Anglo-Saxon tradition of thinking that free speech and the contest of ideas, the truth will emerge. It goes back to John Stuart Mill.
I think the people that are standing here will agree with me.
Of a place like America,
some of the things that you've been saying and continue to say is spewing hate speech.
Next question, Ray Lastre.
You don't have a tradition of John Stuart Mill.
Last question. Go ahead, Ray.
Hi, and how are you? I don't necessarily disagree with your views. I am a conservative, so I'm proud of that. As a Cuban American, I think I'm so proud of having Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, people of Cuban blood, being able to get there, you know?
Well, I'm going to keep bringing the questions back to my book. And again, I say this is not, glad you're a conservative, happy to have you here, hope you vote Republican, but this blood thing, not really an American Anglo-Saxon tradition. This is a problem, and that's why the Democrats are insistent on dumping all of these very different cultures on America, because they can get people to vote on the basis of blood. That is not how Anglo-Saxons vote. Not at all. No, and we have third worlders voting in tribal ways. If we had gotten 71% of the Hispanic vote, Mitt Romney still would have lost. If he had gotten about 5% more of the white vote, he would have won. So Republicans better wake up and for the first time in, I don't know, my lifetime, appeal to white Americans for votes. No one says to a white person who votes Democrat, you voted against your race. But you do get that with all of the ethnic groups coming in. Once Democrats discovered the joys of racial politics, it was over.
Yeah, I think like the word Hispanic and Latino in itself, it serves like to divide instead of unite us as Americans. So
I
thank
agree.
you so much for being
Americans.
here.
And so don't you think that if Republican candidates follow what you think, they're going to lose the Hispanic vote and they'll lose the White House again?
No, they will win, as I just said, and I describe again for idiot Republicans who believe that, please just read the very short second to last chapter. I wrote it after going to a dinner party with a bunch of rich Republicans, and I realized they knew absolutely nothing. I turned my book in, I came home, and in a moment of rage wrote up, rich people are busy, they're making money. I'm not. I'm busy reading Nexus reports, so I went through the actual results of, for example, Proposition 187, when California had about the same demographics as America does now. I went through Ronald Reagan, who got the smallest percentage of the minority vote of any Republican between LBJ and Obama. And that was the biggest electoral landslide in history. The way for Republicans to win is to follow the Ronald Reagan model, and rich people don't have to read obsessively Nexus, but they do have to hang on my every word if they're not going to do that.
One last question. You asked for that on Twitter. Tell me anything new that is not known generally, that it's in the book.
Well, obviously you brought one up. 30 million illegals, not 11.
It's 11. It's 11 now, not 30 million.
More Nigerians than English since the 1970 immigration law. That the people who passed the 1965 immigration law, Teddy Kennedy, the rest of the Democrats, they swore up and down it would not change the ethnic composition of this country. This has been the most dramatic, historic ethnic change to any nation in world history. And this is without lying to the American people and without even consulting the American people on it, which is why I'm particularly enraged at the idea that I can see every night on MSNBC enthusiasm about, the browning of America, the browning of America. But if I say, I don't like what you've done, that's racist.
No, but don't you think it's better that this is a stronger, don't you think this is a stronger nation because it's more diverse, more tolerant?
It's not more diverse, it's more Mexican.
I think it's more diverse, much more diverse.
No, it
in 2044, minorities will be the majority.
But it isn't diverse.
I think diversity is just fantastic.
No, you
I
don't.
think diversity is beautiful.
Mexican.
No. I think we're just arguing for more diversity and more tolerance in this country.
We have taken in 1/4 of the entire Mexican population. At what point will we have taken in enough, in your view?
I think that with a legal system,
the entire Mexican population.
No, I think with a legal system, we wouldn't need, and we wouldn't be having hundreds of people dying crossing the border.
That isn't an answer to the question. 1/4 of the Mexican population. How much?
Because